something that for a lot of you is going to feel really awkward and really uncomfortable in the beginning, but I promise you, on the journey to self-love, this is one of the most extraordinary things that you can actually do, and that is... Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited about today's video because following along from a previous video I did, I really wanted to sit down and talk to you a little bit more about self-love. Now, self-love is a topic that I've been studying for a while now because I see the connection between self-love, confidence, and success in life and business. And I truly do believe that if you develop a healthy sense of self-worth, self-love, and self-confidence, you can do absolutely anything that your heart desires. And because we're all about success and growth and happiness here on this channel, I think this is just such an important topic for us to cover. But here's the thing, I watch a lot of videos on self-love, and generally they're focused on pampering or trying to make one's exterior life feel better. And what I really wanted to do in today's video rather was jump into some of the mindset things that you can really focus on to induce a better sense of self-love. So I really hope that you did enjoy this video, and I would also love to hear from you. What are your biggest self-love tips? Like, what do you do in your life to make you feel connected to yourself and proud of yourself and happy with yourself? I would love for you to share some of those tips in the comments below because of course this is a community and communities love and share with one another. And of course, if you are new around here, don't forget to subscribe. Okay, so the first tip that I have for you is that in order to get closer to a pure state of self-love, what you need to do is really consciously start working on that negative voice or that mean girl voice inside your head. You know the one that tells you that you're not good enough, that it's not gonna work out for you, that you're not smart enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not skinny enough, whatever. We all have that voice inside of our head that tells us that we can't. And when we believe that voice over and over again, it really makes it hard to find that sense of self-confidence and self-love. And so what I recommend that you do is, there's two particular techniques that I have learned that I wanted to share with you today. Now, I just wanted to let you know that I am by no means a licensed therapist. This is sharing with you based on my own personal experience. But the first exercise that you can do to really stop believing that voice inside your head is called recharacterization. Now, most of the time we feel so deeply connected to the voice inside of our head because it's us, and to some degree we all trust ourselves. I mean, we've been with ourselves since the day we were born. And so when we have this voice inside our head that sounds very much like our own voice, it's really easy to believe, even though a lot of these limiting beliefs are false and they're only based on our experiences, we still heavily believe those voices inside our head. If we didn't, we'd all be out there achieving our goals. And so what we actually want to do to stop making this voice so potent is we want to recharacterize the way that it sounds. So when I learned this exercise, the example that was given was to actually make the voice sound like something like Mickey Mouse, or a funny voice, you know, Peter Griffin from Family Guy, something that you're just not going to respect and therefore not going to believe. It takes some time, absolutely, but try to sit down right now and whatever thoughts are coming into your head, try to change the voice of those thoughts into like Homer Simpson. When you can learn to do this over time, it takes, as I said, the intensity out of those thoughts in your head. And it's a lot easier to not listen to them and to start trying to speak more positively to yourself, because you essentially lose the potency and the respect that you have for that negative voice inside your head. But it is very powerful. I've used it quite a lot myself, and usually I end up just giggling to myself because I will do like Cartman from South Park, and then whatever negative spiral I was in, my pattern is interrupted, and I can usually coach myself through so that I can go do the thing the voices were telling me that I couldn't do. But one of the other techniques that I really like as well is deference, where what you're actually doing is you are trying to take those negative thoughts telling you that, say, you shouldn't go live on Instagram because everyone's gonna laugh at you, and you actually defer those thoughts till later. You know, most of the time when it comes to a lot of the fears we have, they become redundant when we actually do the thing that we were scared to do, like going live on Instagram, for example. And so if you actually intentionally defer those thoughts, you say to your brain, I'm gonna think these thoughts later. I'm gonna put these thoughts in a safe space, in a box. Somewhere in my brain, I know they're there, these worrying thoughts that my ego has about this situation, and I'm just going to defer them for a later state so that I can go off and do this thing. What's gonna happen is you will realize how redundant those mean girl thoughts actually were, the thoughts that were, you know, riddled with fear, and then you've proved to yourself that you actually actually can do the thing. This one is a really powerful one. It doesn't work as well for me as the recharacterization, but I wanted to share those two with you because along the self-love journey, you have to try as much as you possibly can to change that negative conversation in your mind into one that is a little bit more positive. Now, my second self-love tip is something that for a lot of you is going to feel really awkward and really uncomfortable in the beginning, but I promise you on the journey to self-love, this is one of the most extraordinary things that you can actually do, and that is learn self-intimacy. What I actually mean by this is the way that you act in an intimate relationship with someone, touching them, spending time with them intimately, or even just caring for them in a more intimate way than you would, say, with your friends. You want to try to bring that into your self-love journey. So whether or not that's taking yourself on a beautiful date, whether or not that's, like having a bath, those pampering things, but really more so, it's just getting comfortable with looking at and loving your own physical experience. Often, I know it sounds really silly, but things like stroking your own arm, humans have like a mechanism within us that we feel a lot of comfort through physical touch. I know a lot of us feel awkward through physical touch, but actually it's because, when we were babies, like the touch of our mother was something that was very important to us for our safety and for our feelings of safety. And so being able to touch yourself, whether that's just stroking your own arms, whether that is self-pleasure, or whether that is just spending time with yourself a little bit more intimately, looking at yourself in the mirror, telling yourself you're beautiful, like trying to create an intimate relationship with yourself that doesn't feel false, forced, or awkward is one of the best things that you can do for self-love, because I genuinely have gotten myself to the point where I absolutely love my body, my experience, who I am, and the intimacy side has been a big part of that, and that gives me so much more confidence to go out there and do the things because I care for myself, I love myself, just as I would an intimate partner. So whatever that looks like for you, take this one as you will, but getting intimate with yourself is super important for self-love. The third thing, and this is something that has been a real struggle for me personally, but I can tell you that since I've actually really started to find my flow with this, it has been huge on my self-love journey, and that is setting and keeping boundaries. I know we talk a lot about boundaries being such an important part of self-respect, self-worth, and self-love, but particularly as women, I find that setting and keeping boundaries is something that many of us struggle with. I spoke in a video recently about guilt, and our guilt plays a big part in this. Naturally, a lot of women are people pleasers, but also on the other side of that, we're so conscious of what other people think of us that we're willing to let them overstep our boundaries. We're willing to sacrifice our own goals, our bodies, our opinions because we don't want to offend or interrupt anybody else's experience. And so what I really want to empower you to do is start to get really comfortable, first of all, with just saying no to people. If there's something that you don't want to do, like a social event, or if there's something that you don't personally believe in but a friend is talking about, start trying to get really comfortable with the word no first of all, because the more you actually start to stand up for yourself, the more that you'll actually start to induce those feelings of self-love. I have recently started to really try to respect my own boundaries with my own time. I'm someone that if a friend asks me to do something, like straight away I will do it. I'm definitely a people pleaser and an overthinker in that way, and I've really been trying to test this, and every single time I have successfully kept those boundaries, I have felt that self-love increase and that sense of self-worth increase. And generally, the people who are actually in my life who care about me, they don't care about me keeping my boundaries. They love me and they want to see me thrive just as much as I want to see them thrive. And it's usually never as bad as I thought it was going to be if I said no in the first place. And so trying with just the word no, I promise you, could change so much. But each and every single time you do that, it's like you get another chip of confidence that you'll be able to use for other things. Another little point I had written down for this setting and keeping your own boundaries is try to really watch when you find yourself changing for other people. Obviously there's different contexts. I'm not the same swearing, like hyperactive person that I am with my friends, maybe when I'm hanging out with my grandma. You know what I mean? Like there's definitely contexts in which we add differently. But try to really notice times when you are changing who you are, like whether you're playing small because you don't want somebody else to feel offended by your experience, or, you know, you're changing your opinions around people. This is a big part of boundaries that is going to deteriorate your self-love. If you're constantly being so malleable around everybody else and just trying to fit everybody else's mold, you will really take away from that self-respect that you need to build self-love. And so just take a big deep breath and say to yourself, I am worthy, I am worthy, I am worthy, and try to just be who you are in every single scenario. Another thing that's really important to do is to respect your physical space and physical things. I found a huge correlation with just little things like keeping my house tidy, making sure I'm taking care of my physical experience. And again, I'm not trying to tiptoe into the area of like self-love is having a bath and pampering yourself, but I'm literally saying having enough respect to take care of yourself. This is all down to the mindset side of things, of nurturing yourself. You know, in most circumstances, a mother is not just going to let a baby sit around in its own waste. It's going to change, they're going to change its nappy, it's going to make sure it's clean. Like, we want to be nurturing ourselves and parenting ourselves, and that does mean also taking care of our physical body and our physical space. You don't have to have makeup, clean nails, or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying here is just making sure you are taking care of yourself, hydrating, feeding yourself the right things, cleaning your space so that grime and dirt and toxicity isn't building up around you, making sure you're, you know, trying to get your body right so you're going to the toilet all the time. I know these things sound weird and maybe not related to the mindset conversation around self-love, but they are so incredibly important. The more that you essentially parent yourself, the more that you're going to feel those induced feelings of self-love. You know, the less that you focus on yourself and the less that you respect yourself, the less you're going to feel like you actually love yourself. There is nothing like the feeling of receiving being nurtured, whether that be by a parent, a loved one, a friend, and you can do that for yourself. It's just that so many of us don't. So many of us are giving it out to everybody else, and we have maybe no one in our lives that is giving it back to us, and that's where we need to step in. We need to take care of ourselves first. We need to be there for ourselves first, because then not only are you satisfied, but then you can go off and give that to other people as well. And so what I would really say is, you know, whatever it looks like for you, for me, it's making sure I've got a clean environment, I'm taking care of myself, I'm getting dressed every day, I'm washing my hair, I'm exercising, I'm eating healthy, and I'm hydrating, and I'm getting enough sleep, and doing that self-intimacy stuff. All of these things are making me really feel like I am properly taking care of myself, which makes me feel taken care of, which increases my confidence, my worth, and of course then what I'm able to achieve in the world. And so the final thing that I think is so incredibly important for self-love, self-respect, and self-worth is feeling to heal. And what I mean by this is many of us have learned to avoid our emotions. We've learned to hold in our tears, to not be too dramatic, to just get over things, to get over and get on with things. And whilst I really agree that in some circumstances this may be the right thing to do, in most cases, it is so incredibly important for you to pause, sit with your emotions, feel your emotions, and let them pass. I see so many people that are just clogged up with negative experiences. And I'm not necessarily talking about deep-rooted traumas here. For that, I definitely recommend seeing a therapist for. But let's say, you know, a little thing, like you try to do a launch in business and it doesn't go well. Like, sit with the experience, sit with the emotions that come up, cry if you need to, go beat up a pillow if you need to, like whatever you need to do to actually move those emotions through you. That is going to help make you so much more of a productive person, if anything, but it's going to allow you to experience so much more feelings of blissful self-love because you're not constantly inundated with these negative experiences. And so feeling to heal is something that's really important. It also taps into that self-nurturing because you can, when you're feeling these things, you can be really kind to yourself and coddle yourself, and that will bring yourself closer to yourself, which induces, like I said, feelings of self-love. So making sure that, you know, whatever it is that's going on in your life, it's okay to take some space. Take a step back from business. Take a step back from your friendships. Take a step back from your relationship to just feel those emotions, to process those experiences and let them pass by. Because I guarantee you, it feels horrible in the moment, but you'll have that point of like, right, now I can get back on with life. It comes, I promise you, okay? Maybe a few days, maybe a week, depending on the circumstance of the situation. But the more you feel, the easier you will process and the better you'll be able to get back to that feeling of self-love and self-worth and being productive and kicking goals. All right, I know this was like a little bit more of like a chatty video and me sharing a lot of my experiences, but I've been on the self-love journey for quite some time now, and I really, really, really do think that this self-love work, this self-worth work, and this self-confidence work is the reason why I'm consistently able to show up and achieve success in my life and in my business, because I've done so much of this difficult but necessary work on self-love. So, like I said, if you have any other self-love mindset tips or even practical tips or things that you do to really feel self-love, please do leave them in the comments below. I love you so much. Thank you so much for showing up for yourself today and watching this entire video. And of course, I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.